What is up, everybody? I'm hoping you're all well, and it's now the third movie review that I'm recording today, and my voice is just getting worse and worse with every review that I'm doing, but I'm going to soldier on, so let's get straight into this. It's the latest animated sequel to one of Dreamwork's movies that was kind of okay, but a little bit forgettable. The Croods: A New Age. So The Croods: A New Age is a sequel to The Croods and basically follows a caveman family going on a new journey to find their tomorrow, as Ryan Reynolds' character found basically a safer place for their family to stay away from all the wild animals that they have to live around. However, on their journey they come across this giant wall, and on the other side they meet the Bettermans, who are more evolved type of humans. They've built this wall around their land where they can stay safe and away from any of the predators that are outside the walls, and they just seem to have a better way of living than the Croods do. And while some members of the Croods start to settle into this new life, this safer life, there are other members of the Croods who don't like this new way of life. They miss their old way of living. Mainly the father of the group, who's very protective. He likes all of his family being together. He likes the pack being together. And so because of that, it leads to a clash between the two, and the two kind of have to learn to either live together, or some of them are going to have to leave. And that's the plot roughly in a nutshell. I don't want to go into too much detail about other aspects that happen in this movie, or other important aspects that happen in this movie, because other important aspects don't happen until the last act of the film. The first two acts of the movie is essentially the Croods finding the Bettermans, finding this new place, a safe place to stay, and just not being the biggest fan of it. Well, the father, played by Nicolas Cage, just isn't a big fan of it. He likes his pack being together, and they're liking this new way of living, this new world. They're getting relaxed, they're enjoying it. But that very protective and controlling side comes out, and so that's where the clash sort of happens. Honestly, that doesn't make the Bettermans better than the Croods just because the father doesn't like this new way of living and he can't get used to it. In fact, these characters look down on the Croods and are quite manipulative. However, when their way of life is essentially threatened, they do have to band together, and that's where this whole idea of family, the whole story and theme of family does come together. And I feel like that's what I've enjoyed from both Crood movies, to be fair. The idea of family, the theme of family always being together, that's always a very good thing, but it's also that point of being able to move on and let your family go off on their own adventures. Even if that does scare you, it's a part of growing up, it's a part of being a parent and part of being a child. The bird will one day leave the nest, or in this case, the caveman will one day leave the cave, or enclosed wall fixture thingy. So the theme of family, which was very prevalent in this entire movie, I really enjoyed. I thought they did very well in portraying that. I thought all the actors in this movie all did a great job of bringing their characters to life. They all clearly had a lot of energy behind their performances and made for very likeable characters. They did a good job of making you care about those characters and making you laugh through the over-the-top voices that they were putting on. But they also did a good job in more of the emotional moments of this movie as well, and that happens when you do have a talented cast behind you. Obviously, you've got Nicolas Cage in this movie being Nicolas Cage. I love Nicolas Cage. I will literally see anything that he is in. We also have Emma Stone as the daughter, who gives a very energetic performance. Obviously, her character is seeing this new world and she's very excited by it. But in this new world, she starts to feel like she's losing Guy, played by Ryan Reynolds, who again gives a very energetic performance. He has that sort of Ryan Reynolds isms to him in terms of the one-liners that he has and the way that he delivers his lines. It was great seeing the pair's relationship expand from the first movie into this movie, and how a new way of living could either make or break them. Peter Dinklage as Mr. Betterman, I thought was a perfect choice for this character. He really brought a lot to this role through his voice alone. He was very energetic, very over the top, but it didn't detract from how manipulative he was towards the main father of this movie. You can tell that he feels he is genuinely better than these guys, and that his way of living and his family are better off here, whereas his family would be better off out of the walls. To be fair, none of the characters in this movie were outright despicable or despisable. I really liked every character in this film. I thought all the actors did a great job in their voice acting. In terms of that, I can't fault the movie. Same with the animation. The animation for this movie is really good. Obviously, it's done by Dreamworks, who are very good in terms of their animated films, especially as it's gone on, maybe not so much in the early days. We'll not mention that movie. But the animation was just as good as you'd expect from a Dreamworks movie. Combine that with the very creative and inventive creatures that they come across in this movie, some of them being genuinely hilarious, but I can't fault the movie in that regard. To be fair, I preferred this movie to the first one in my opinion. I mean, the first one was good, I did enjoy the film, but I've never felt the need to go back and watch it again. And I feel like that's the same for this movie. I don't know what it is about the films, but I just don't find them overall rewatchable. Now, I don't think they're necessarily terrible films. I just feel like the writing for them is more aimed towards at kids, and I feel like that's the main flaw in my opinion. Not so much the movie's opinion. The movie can't have an opinion, but in terms of the filmmakers, it's clearly made for kids, and I do feel like the bright colours and the very energetic and vibrant characters are going to keep kids entertained, and adults can watch this movie without being bored or falling asleep. But in that, there's not much in this movie that will draw the adult's attention to the screen 100% of the time. It is one of those you'd sit your kids in front of while you just sit back and relax. And I think that mainly comes off in the humour used in this movie. There are some very smart jokes here in terms of, obviously, putting Stone Age people in this time and making references to things that happen in the future, or things that we have in the future, like a TV and an iPad and stuff like that. But in that, a lot of this humour is much more physical, slapstick, over-the-top sight gags. And while some of them do land, not all of them landed for me in particular. There are a couple of chuckles here and there, but for the most part, nothing had me laughing out loud. And I feel like that's my main issue with this movie. I didn't find myself laughing out loud as much as I wanted to. While I did enjoy the family dynamic that they had, I enjoyed these characters, I wasn't as attached to them as I probably should have been. And that didn't help in terms of the family being in danger. I just didn't feel that connection with them. Now, I'm not saying this is a bad movie at all. I'm really not. For me personally, I just didn't find it all that interesting. Don't get me wrong, I wasn't bored through the movie. I wasn't like uninterested or anything like that. I just wasn't as invested in the story as I thought I should have been. If you did love the first Croods movie, you'll probably love this movie, and I highly recommend checking it out for that. In terms of that, the animation is gorgeous, the voice acting is very good, and I did personally prefer this movie to the first film. But again, like the first film, I can't see myself going out of my way to see it again or buying it on Blu-ray or anything like that. I don't know why that is, because I do love a lot of Dreamworks other movies. Obviously, you've got How to Train Your Dragon, Kung Fu Panda, Shrek, for example. They're all great films. I mean, Shrek 1 and 2, the other two hit and miss. But this movie just sort of falls into the same category of like Turbo and Flush Away. They're enjoyable enough movies, but they're not ones that I'm going to actively go out and seek again. And so for all those reasons, I'm going to give The Croods: A New Age 3 stars. So The Croods: A New Age, have you guys seen it all? What do you guys think about it? Do you prefer this movie to this original, or do you prefer the first movie to this one? Whatever your thoughts are, let me know in the comment section below. Thanks so much for watching, guys. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, share it with your friends. If you want to see more videos just like this one, then subscribe to my channel for more. Thanks again for watching. You guys are awesome, and I will see you all in the next video.